Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it is August 5th of 2021. I'm thinking of, as you can see, I've got two Logitech cameras here. This is the Brio, and this is the C920E. Both of them are good. I've also on my Chromebox over here on that computer, on that I've got a generic from China, uh, you know, USB camera, uh, and the picture's okay on that. Uh, and I've got a couple other inexpensive and I've got the hardware for, and I've hooked it up a few times, played with it, and you've seen the video uh, of using my with this, using my Logitech uh, G7 camera. But for what I'm doing, I think these USB webcams are fine. When I started doing video, before there was a YouTube and before there was a whole bunch of stuff, my first webcam, there wasn't USB anything. There wasn't anything of a USB port that hadn't been invented yet. That the cameras back then were also not in color, and the cameras had to be hooked up to the RS-232 port in order to work. And they worked okay. Of course, not as they weren't in color and they weren't as good. I'm not sure if I've got any. No, I don't. Have any of those pictures saved or anything like that. I haven't been good at saving, stuff like that, files and that kind of stuff. I do have a printout here someplace that I'm going to go through it, make a video somehow because I've got a list of things that I purchased starting back about 1982. I didn't write everything down, but I'll be able to show you, I'll do a search, and I'll be able to show you what the hardware looked like or whatever. Anyway, I'm thinking about getting this, and it was, in fact, this and a couple other fairly new USB webcams like this. The prices have moved up to just under $300. In fact, this one here is $179. Let's say $180, and it was about $80 on top of that. At least it was right under $300, and that was just I looked at this review of this one and a review of the other two that are in the same price range, and they have each one of them has of course the USB webcams are basically all this basically about the same, but so this one was, and I looked at YouTube videos, and some of the YouTubers absolutely were just blown away by this one. Of course, a lot of the reviewers are saying, hook up. In fact, one guy even said, do I have the software? Anyway, he showed, using the Logitech G7 camera with this, and showed the video, and they showed the video alongside of this one, and talking about the pros and cons, and he says, you know, if you've got the $600 or $700, you know, go with the Logitech G, you know. But actually, and I've done that, I didn't buy it for that reason. You know, because I always I've been interested in photography since I was in grade school. I can remember, I mentioned this before in a video, when I was working at a small hospital, there was a guy there, he worked in respiratory therapy, and this is early, early computer time, and he was an Apple person, and I was well, at that point it was like a PC person, or a IBM computer, although I didn't have a IBM, you know, that type of thing. So we talked politics, but we also, we talked computers more than anything else. And I forget what, well, I'm not going to get signed. What I was going to say is, I forget which model he had. He loved Apple computers and the whole thing. But Apple, you know, he had upgraded, he had bought expensive parts for his thing, did all this, and then Apple came out with a new Apple computer. I'm sure it was new and improved, and it was like, for all the people who had the Apple computer that he had, it was like, yeah, we're not supporting that anymore. There'll be no parts for it. Well, I don't think there had parts anyway, but you know, it was like, that's it. You know, this is the new Apple computer, and that was it. He broke, and you know, he went and got himself a IBM compatible, you know, PC computer. So then we both had the same kinds of computers. Very smart guy. Like I said, he worked in respiratory therapy, but he had several college degrees, and he was also he took courses in, you know, computers and Linux and that type of stuff, and he was making, you know, good money working respiratory therapy. But I told him, I said, you know, what you should, you know, and that's just when internet service providers were coming around, and that, you know, setting up that type of stuff. And I said, you know, you should go to work, you know, for him. Oh, I'm not, you know. He said, well, no. And I said, no, you know enough. And I said, go hire in at one of these places, sweeping the floor, whatever they want, and you'll be there, and they're going to be over there scratching their heads. Oh, they got a problem, you know. And then you can just say, well, I think it's in the, you know, whatever. And wait a minute, you know, before long you'd be, you know. But he was afraid to, you know, quit a job for, a lot of people are that way. Well, especially I guess nowadays, I can understand why. If you get a good job, maybe you better hold on to it, you know. But what I was going to get at is, about every couple of weeks he'd come over to my place. Sometimes we'd order in a pizza, and we'd talk politics, and we would talk computers and stuff. And of course I was reading all the computer magazines and things like that. And I had seen in the computer magazines, you know, digital camera, you know, and it was I think they were like $3,000, $4,000, or you know, that's in the beginning, you know, maybe more, a lot of money. And I thought, oh wow, man, that must be nice. And he came over, and he said, I bought a digital camera. And I said, God, those are expensive, aren't they? He said, I forget what he paid for it. I forget what brand, but anyway, he brought it with him. And so he said, here, you know, wow. And I thought, man, that, you know. Now, of course, I own, you know, 3, you know, Panasonic digital cameras, and I never use them. And But anyway, and I'm set with these. I think these cameras are working, doing fine. Now this is supposed to, this AVerMedia camera is supposed to be a nice one. I saw some reviews of it, and there's several people that I end up watching quite a few of their, videos, and I, forget the name of the guy, guys, Anyway, he did a review of this. In fact, he did a review of this in one video, and those other two, one is a Logitech, the other is, I forget, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute, let me go to, oh, by the way, in case if you look up here, you're wondering, this snake escaped from a Texas neighborhood. It's in Grand Prairie, Texas, which is like it's in between. I'm in Fort Worth, and this is Fort Worth, and sort of in between Dallas. So this thing is a deadly, somebody, keeping somebody a snake, person, and it is loose, and they're telling people, do not approach it, do not try to catch it. It is deadly. I don't like any kind. I don't like snakes or any type of creatures. When we had the tropical fish shop, we had a electric eel in a big tank, and I was afraid to reach it. I'm sure it couldn't have given the shock, because I'm guessing that, it probably had to, do motions in order to generate enough electricity to give you. That thing scared the hell out of me. The piranhas didn't. I mean, I didn't stick my hand in there, but piranhas didn't really scare me. Had one tank set up just to show, a 29-gallon tank, and had some piranhas in it, and they stayed down towards the bottom, and I kept them well fed. And then I had other fish that were fish that normally stayed up at the top, and they stayed up at the top, and the piranhas didn't bother them. Now, one time we got in little small piranhas, and they went into some 10-gallon tanks, and we were closed one day a week, and I forgot to feed the fish. And when I went the next day to feed the fish, little piranhas had eaten half. There was like half of the other piranhas were swimming around. Anyway, this one guy, he reviewed on this camera and the two others, so all three of the new camera, and they were all about $270, and every one of them. Actually, this was a little more expensive, and the other two were a little bit less, not much. And I thought, because I've been buying for years. Like when I started out, it wasn't a USB, because it was a parallel port printer, and it wasn't in color, and stuff like that. But I've been buying the new cameras, the USB cameras and that type of stuff. And when it got to this point, I'm like, no, the ones I have are working. And when the virus situation happened, like the Logitech Brio, and the price on those cameras was way down, and because there's a lot of Chinese cameras that look like exact duplicates of copies of them. Of course, they're all going to look about the same, but But then the prices just skyrocketed because kids were working from school, at home, and people were working from home, and all that kind of stuff. And Logitech, their cameras, they jacked the prices way up, and on them, which I thought was kind of ridiculous. And although they're good, the Logitech ones, but so I don't know how long ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, not very long. This camera I think was $270 or $80, and I thought, no, I would like to, because I like to try them and show them and the whole thing. But I thought, no, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to spend that kind of money. Okay, then I checked, and the price is down to 180, and the other two, which are in that price range, they moved theirs down to the same. So they're all three about the same. So I think I'm going to go with this one. Maybe I'll come to my senses and won't, because I'm doing fine with the ones that I have. This thing on top, by the way, this moves down over to block the lens, so I guess the government can't watch you. By the way, I never, well, in the very beginning, because there was nothing, anybody making YouTube videos especially, I think you know, unless you have to, do not use, the microphones on any of these. Use an external microphone of some kind. And you have a lot of choices. And, you've seen a whole bunch of, I don't know how many, of me just using a headset, and that worked fine. But this lens, this is a very substantial looking USB camera, and the lens is, the glass is pretty good size, and one of them, I think, of the three, I believe, or maybe it was a fourth one that was in that price range. The company, I think, was actually pretty smart. Well, probably maybe not a good idea. That the company didn't even put microphones in it, which I think is, why put that in there when, nobody should be using, But that, that's a brave thing to do, because, people are going to be thinking, well, I want this, a camera with a microphone. But if you were making YouTube videos or something, oh, I want to sneeze, I think. Maybe if I go down here, well, wait a minute. I think the manufacturer recommends you can do 4K video, but it's at 30 frames a second, and really there's no reason for people that I can think of for people making YouTube, well, videos. If you're making things like like this, if you're going down to the Miami Beach and you're walking on the, make it in 4K, but if you're doing something like what I'm doing and others are doing, there's no reason for it to be in 4K, and you don't want to see me in 4K, and you don't need to see, the web pages in 4K or something. So, although it will do 4K, and although I have a couple 4K monitors, one I actually forgot about. I didn't know that this one, I had forgotten that this was a 4K. I'm not even sure I knew it was a 4K monitor. But when I moved this over here and the way I hooked it up, well, I mentioned this the other day, but hey, that's in 4K, And, but, by the way, I'm using Manicam again, so this may be, the audio may be out of sync. But if I do get this camera, you know, it'll do 4K at 30 frames a second, but I'll be doing, you know, 1860 at 60 frames a second. This has a very wide angle view, and I'll like that, except I'll have to hide a few more. I have a nose that runs a lot, and I keep toilet paper, which I use for not wiping my ass, you know. Well, I use toilet paper for wiping my ass, but not here. And I use, you know, I keep it, so I don't want that showing up, you know, in the thing, so. But it has a very wide angle view, 94 degrees. Privacy shutter I don't really care about. And USB 3.0, you need to plug this like you do with the Brio, needs to be plugged into, you know, USB 3.0. Let's see. Oh, okay, yeah, here's one of them. Okay, well, here's the, man, they've jacked this price, you know, the Logitech Brio. They've jacked it up from, I forget what it was. It was, you know, way down, just slightly more. It was a little bit more than the regular, you know, USB cameras. But now this, you know, and this is one, you know, same thing. This one is massive. This, the lens on this Razor, it's really big. And now here's a C920. Okay, this must be, what did the C920, I forget now what the E, okay, E. So here's the Logitech C920X. I'm not sure if C and then they went to X or, you know, what. But now this, you know, the Logitech C920X, I'm sure, you know, because the E was excellent. And if you don't want to spend, you know, $180 for a, you know, the C920X, it would be a good way to go. So what else did I want to YouTube stuffy, huh? YouTube made, I'm not sure if it's going to show up if you're going to, just the other day when you upload a video to YouTube, they've changed things around a little bit. One of the things they do is tell you that the tags are not really important. Don't pay too much attention to them. What else do they do? There's several things that they've made. Oh, one of the things is it. Let's see. It tells you about that. It tells you that. See, I had this. In fact, this is my statement here. So I guess they're smart enough. It tells you that we're going to include a line, you know, here that says that you're using Amazon links and that it's an affiliate program, and that's going to be added automatically. Well, I guess that I already had this as the link that I had, and so they didn't add it to my thing. But there's some other little changes that they've made. So By the way, Windows 11, I'm running Windows 11, and I was running the development, and the other day I made a short little video about it, or it's embedded in one of my videos here in the last few days, saying that in fact, I got quite a few, well, a little higher than, started to say a bunch of, but not, yeah, 150, like I normally get, 60, 70, 80 views. This one where I mentioned that Windows 11 Insider build had just switched and now has the, what do they call it? Developer. Well, that from the developer to the, let's see. Today's date, it's June 30th of 2021, and it's 9:38 a.m. in the morning. I was up most of the night messing with things, computer stuff. I forget what they call it. I could go there and you could see it, but they switched from developer to whatever the build is, which is a indication, and they recommended that hey, all that's been available has been the developer thing for Windows 11, but now we've got such and such a build, and that's where we recommend that people go, because it's much more stable. And although I haven't had any trouble with it, didn't have any trouble with the developer build, and but that's also an indication that pretty quick Windows 11 will be released, and they just did a build. Well, I guess we gotta go by the what am I looking for? Oh, oh no, we do this here. Go to settings here and go to Windows Update. So let's see. Update history. Okay, now the other day they released what was, out was build that was 10.0.22.000.00. Now it upgraded to 0.51. But I went to the preview. I'm on the preview build. I was on the developer build, and so I went to the preview, and what let's see, oh, I know. Well, let's see, is it no, that is not it. Or is it down here? Show hidden icons? No. Well, I know. Okay, hit the Windows key and the period. Let me move this over here. Here we go. Whoops. I thought that was going to minimize this. Let me do this again. Whoops, nope. Windows and the dot. Here we are. Okay, I don't think it's underneath. Bring it over here. So there's a whole bunch of, okay, it does not look like you can enlarge this. So anyway, you have this, you have this, and man, there's a whole bunch of these emojis. I'm tired, my finger's tired of, anyway, there's a bunch of that. And there's a bunch of these. This is, this is new. And then what do we have here? A bunch of this. Now remember, you're bringing this up by hitting the Windows and the period key at the same time. There's this. There's this. There's this. Now something's missing. Well, anyway. So it looks like there's, and I don't know what else, has, popped in here, but, so they're bringing in these little things that they, have worked on that are over in the corner or whatever, and they're putting them in. So it looks like pretty quick they're going to announce that Windows 11 is here and available. I really like Windows 11. I'm very happy with it. I've had no problems, running the development phase on it, and I've moved to the whatever the next one was. So I don't know if I'm going to spend the money, because I know if you watch some of my videos a little bit back, I've said in the videos, I'm not going to spend any more money. I'm spending so much money for these different things when I could have a lot of money if I don't need, 2 computers going, not counting my cell phone and that kind of stuff. I don't need to be buying these things, and all the stuff that I'm doing, it's I'm not making any money, and it'd be nice just to break even, but I like doing this. I learn a little bit, not as much as I should, because I don't want to learn. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time. I've done that. I had to write back in 1982, I had to write my own BBS program in BASIC. But on the other hand, I do like, and I would like to see this new, although I've seen the videos that people have, made of it. I just hate this thing too of, like, of course, free delivery, and if I order within the next 7 hours, I could have it tomorrow. This new webcam. I guess if I got it, which one would I replace? This is the Logitech Brio. That's a 4K camera. I guess I would just try it. Now it's a possibility this might not work if I tried to put. Well, I don't think I'd bring this. This camera in and put it on my. Probably wouldn't even. It might not even work on the Chrome box. So it'd probably go here. I guess if I did that, would I leave the Brio and this one going, or would I Might be nice to move the Logitech C920 over on the Chrome box. Not sure. Anyway, almost 6 p.m. Almost time to take my...
Jim, are you awake?
I guess this is a good time to end this video. Thank you for watching.